and welcome to another maths video by me, Mr. Looker, sitting here in my garden talking to you today about coordinates. Now, you've done coordinates in year 4, probably revised them in year 5, and we did do a little bit about them in year 6, so some of this will be revision. Mainly you would have done coordinates in the first quadrant, but we will be looking at coordinates in all 4 quadrants today. My maths set, when we were at school, did look at all 4 coordinates, but you may not have done if you were in Mr. K's class or Miss Ellis's class, so it might be new. But it's pretty straightforward. We'll go through some things and this will help you with today's maths. So here we have a coordinate grid. Now you're probably used to working in the first quadrant, which is just a section with the positive numbers. So starting in the middle, which is called the origin, or 0, and going along the x-axis, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then back to the origin and going up the y-axis, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the standard coordinate grid, but now you're in year 6, we can look at in all 4 quadrants, and it just means the number lines have been continued. So we've headed into negative numbers. So the coordinate grid in the top right hand will always have positive coordinates. But if you have coordinates in any of the other grids, there will be negative coordinates as well. If you have a point plotted in the bottom left hand side, there will only be negative coordinates. So a quick reminder, this is called the x-axis, this is the horizontal axis, and you can see on this coordinate grid it starts at -5, counting up -4, -3, -2, -1 to 0, and then up to +5. And if we click next, you will then see the y-axis. Okay, and this is the vertical axis, 0 in the middle, the origin. We start at the bottom of the y-axis with a -5, counting up -4, -3, -2, -1 to 0, and then into the positives 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And it doesn't matter where the coordinates are on this grid, we're going to write them in the same way. Hopefully you remember that it's the x coordinate that goes first in the first section, so we read along the horizontal line. And then it's the y coordinate going up and down on the vertical line. And the points are measured from the origin, which would be written in coordinates as 0, 0. So the coordinates of this point here, have a think. If you look closely, it's either going to be 1, 3 or 3, 1. What do you think? Hopefully you've recognised it as 3, 1 because we read the x coordinate first. So we can see here there's a pink blob on the coordinates. A little tip for you, if you're ever drawing coordinates yourself, you shouldn't use a blob. You should use a small cross, as it's much more accurate. But anyway, moving on. We want to know what this pink blob is, well, where it is on this coordinate grid. So have a think. What do you think the answer is? Pause the video if you're not sure. Give yourself some thinking time. Yep. That's right, it is -4, -1. Now we have a second example. The blob has moved. It's in a different part of the coordinate grid. Have a think, what could this be? Have a think about which axis we read first. Pause the video if you need a bit of thinking time. Yep, and hopefully you can see if we read along the x-axis first, it's -3 or -3. Read up the y-axis, it's on 4. So it's going to be -3, 4. So here we have a 4-quadrant coordinate grid. There's a hill, there's a cave, there's a lake, and there is a wood on the map. Can you work out the coordinates of the 4 places? Pause the video, have a think, and then when you're ready to move on, press play. So, looks like Mr. Looker's made a mistake. Got the hill, the cave, and the lake correct, but the wood he's got wrong. What was my mistake? Yeah, that's right. Silly Mr. Looker. He's read the coordinates round the wrong way. Rodder Wally. The correct answer should be 2, -4. And finally today, it's important to know how the coordinates are called. So when they're split into 4 quadrants, the first quadrant is the top right quadrant, and that's the quadrant you would have started working in year 4. And then the second, third and fourth quadrants are numbered in order going anti-clockwise. So you can see there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4 in an anti-clockwise direction. And that really is all there is to it. So I suppose if there's anything that's really important to remember from today's lesson is the order you read the coordinates in, because if you forget that, you can easily make a silly mistake and get everything wrong. So remember, it's always X coordinate first and then the Y coordinate. If you think of the school, we go along the year 6 corridor and we go up the year 5 stairs. It's a fairly simple way of trying to remember it. So X followed by Y, or if you think of your alphabet, X, Y, Z is the end of the alphabet. It's another way of trying to remember the order. So X coordinate first and then the Y coordinate, horizontal and then vertical. If you remember that, you're going to smash it. So best of luck. And if you're not sure, send me a message on Dojos or Mr. K or Miss Ellis and we'll try and help. Enjoy. See you soon.